Hi everyone, my name is Alexander Lepschi. I'm from Austria and we are here in London filming for Hair Tribe. And today at my beautiful model Heidi, we're going for a shorter haircut. The inspiration behind it comes from a little bit of the 60s, like a Mia Farrow kind of shape. And we're playing around with a little bit of stronger area at the sides and at the nape area. So we're working here with a scissor over combing technique. And at the top, we're working with a little bit longer but very, very interesting texture internally. As a focal point, we will introduce a little bit more of an also 60s inspired A-line fringe, but in a very, very versatile kind of way. From a sectioning pattern, we're working very simple. We're working from the recession area, so in the curvature of the head. We're going straight back and we curve in a little bit downwards when we come into the occipital bone area. We do this on both sides and make sure that the sectioning pattern is really even, because as we all know, the sectioning pattern is really, really key for shorter haircuts to really enhance or to break the head shape. In this case, we want to really, enhance the head shape, but in a very modern kind of way. So we're going a little bit tighter around the crown area and expanding then in a little bit longer top area so that the weight distribution looks a little bit more modern. Okay, as you can see, what we've done now, we've taken our section, very simple, classic horseshoe section. We start in the curvature of the head in the recession area and curving a little bit downwards as we come through the back. The goal is that we enhance the head shape. We start in with a classic block graduation, so parallel to our section, we create in our guide. Okay, from the guideline, we're working a little bit tighter, shorter around the front and working a little bit longer through the back. And as soon as we created our guide, we dried everything off and then we work with a classic scissor over comb technique to get a beautiful silhouette and beautiful shape for the sides and for the nape area. Combing everything up, parallel to the section, making sure that the head of your model or your client is always straight or in the position that you need it. Take your time when you create your guideline, because your guideline will set the design for the particular shape that you like to create. Going in classically blunt, combing everything up, parallel to the section. Finger position is parallel to my horseshoe section. And in that way I'm creating a guide. Take a look if the length is exactly as you want it. My model Heidi has a really nice natural texture of hair, so her texture is really naturally straight. And with this particular texture, you have to be really careful to create the right length. So if it's, too short, it looks maybe a little bit too strong. If it's too long, it's a little bit more too heavy. So make sure it's the exactly right length, exactly for the image that you like to go for. So in this kind of way I'm working through. As you can see when we progress through with our guideline, that the guideline in the front is a little bit shorter and it becomes slightly longer as we move backwards. This is very important in case of the head shape. Okay? Again, parallel to your section, again. comb it down, you can see the line, it's shorter in the front and becomes slightly longer through to the back. And this gives us a little bit more weight in this area here at the end of the day. Okay, as soon as we've done that, we'll do exactly the same on the opposite side, from the other side. Okay, so what I'm doing now is comb everything down, move my body position in front of the model, in front of my client. I'm checking exactly the balance. This is really important for the weight distribution. In this case, we're looking really for balance. Either side is symmetric. You also can make it asymmetric if you want to. Okay, it's always up to you and what suits your client and your model. Okay, once you're happy with your guideline, now we dry everything off using the comb. When we dry the hair as evenly as possible, and then we start with our scissor over comb technique. As we dry the underneath off, we're starting with our scissor over comb technique. In this case, at the beginning, I'm using a little bit wider, a larger comb because it's easier from the technique. And as we progress through, we switch into the finer comb. Starting in the sides, starting with the wider teeth of the comb. Basics for scissor or comb are always the same. Scissors, the closing motion, the cutting motion of the scissors moves fast, the comb moves slowly. The faster the scissors move, up and close, the slowlier the comb moves, the more precisely your scissor over combing will be at the end. Not only make sure with your scissor over comb technique that you create the right length, always imagine and always looking for that you also create the right shape of your scissor over combing. In this case, I like to create in the internal area, making sure that you're going really tight around this temple area. The tighter this will be, the more beautifully the frame of the face in that area expands. Okay. When you're happy with the first section, you scissor over comb, and then you progress through. So, in my opinion, this is the best way to create a very even, balanced silhouette in the scissor over combing. So I'm really not only working a little bit here and then move again or move on and then come back again and so on and so on. So I believe in that you get the best and the most beautiful silhouette when you work one section to the way you really like it. So that you say, okay, now it's perfect, and then move on and progress the overall shape. So in the end, in my opinion, it becomes a lot more precisely and a lot more balanced from the overall shape and silhouette. So as we progress through to the back, I'm always holding my comb in the same angle as the section and the guideline will be, so that you really mirror your section on the top and the guideline that you created before. So the rest of the shape with the scissor over combing will follow exactly this kind of shape and this kind of silhouette. We progressed on with our scissor rubber combing. Now I switched to my usually cutting comb, and we always try to really make sure that the comb, when we scissor rubber combing, is held parallel to the weight line that we created, and the weight line is also parallel to the line of the section. Overall, scissor rubber combing has exactly the silhouette I like to create, as natural as possible. So I just really worked with the scissor rubber combing from the bottom, very cleanly and precisely upwards, creating exactly the silhouette. Okay, and now we start cutting. What I like to create now is a beautiful, naturally kind of head shape, but the head shape should sit a little bit more narrow, so nothing too, too much build-up of weight in the top area. So we like to create a really, tight feeling in this area. We're starting in the center, the center profile section, and what we do now, very simply, we following the head shape, combing first of all everything 90 degrees to the head, so straight out. Then, as you can see, we have our guide from our scissor rubber combing here at the bottom. Using this as a guide and working upwards vertically. And from there, we're switching with our elevation. We're changing now from 90 degrees to the head. Into 90 degrees to the head shape. Create a little bit more roundness through this area here. The goal is really that we have a beautiful natural kind of head shape, but it should sit a little bit more tighter and not too much build-up of weight through to the front. Okay, so what we do now is we don't work through with pivoting sections, we're going through with parallel sections to the sides, as you can see here. Okay, and we're working this through and following our guideline. And first of all, start again 90 degrees to the head. As you can see, back we have our guide, and we're following our guide through to the sides. From there we again change our elevation, now 90 degrees to the head shape, and again following your guideline. Okay? And in this kind of sectioning and cutting method, we're working through to the sides. Always use parallel sections. Everything combed straight out, 90 degrees to the head. And now following your guideline. Changing elevation, 90 degrees to the head shape, and again following your guide. With this kind of method we're working through. Okay, what we get with this sectioning pattern and cutting pattern is we have it completely connected in the center of the back, okay, with the underneath area. But as you can see, as we progress through to the sides, we get an overlap of lengths, okay, which falls over our weight line that we created into the sides. And this gives us a beautiful tight head-hugging shape in the back and progresses in a little bit more longer playful lengths through to the front. Working from our center profile parting, we're using this, and what we do now is we sectioning off our fringe section, and in this case we're working in a diagonal back section from the center. As I said before, we like to give the fringe an 60s kind of feel, so this A-line feel, a little bit short in the front, progressing through to the sides, a little bit longer, but still very, very versatile. For that, to make sure that the weight distribution, the balance of the weight of the hair is really evenly, we mirror the shape of the natural hairline. So exactly these diagonal back we're using for our fringe section. Okay. Check the weight and the amounts of hair for your fringe visually to make sure you get exactly the result that you want. A little bit more. Okay, beautiful. So, what you can see here, okay, diagonal back. We do exactly the same thing on the other side. So what we do now is we working with a beautiful layering technique inside of the fringe. We're starting at our shortest point that we want to create. This could be in the center, this could be a little bit offset, depends on the facial features and what you want to create. In this case, we start in the center, creating our profile section. Okay. Now we elevate everything 90 degrees to the head shape. And again, working in a reverse graduation, so elevation is 90 degrees to the head shape. Finger position is going from shorter internally to reduce weight to longer through to the outline. In this case, we're working with point cutting to create a little bit more texture. Check this piece through, a little bit shorter. Don't stop until you like it. Okay, this is fine for me. The rest is really simple. We're working now through to the sides with parallel sections and we're over directing everything to the center. So we again working 90 degrees to the head shape with our elevation, finger position from shorter to longer, and we're following our guideline with point cutting. Create a little bit more texture and over directing everything into the center. With this concept, you can see we have these internal layers, and the line of the fringe becomes a little bit more A-line. It's still very soft, but shorter in the center. And doing now the same thing on the opposite side, using again my guide from the center, working with parallel sections, over directing everything into the center. As soon as this is completed, you can see what we get. These really shorter pieces in the center progressing through into a longer A-line kind of fringe, but very, very soft, and in the same time with a beautiful, you know, head-hugging, narrow silhouette in the front curvature of the head. The cutting concept for the top is really, really simple. We're now combing everything forward. Using again our center profile guideline, the center of the head. Okay. Combing everything straight up. As you can see here, are shorter pieces from the fringe and our shorter lengths from the crown. And what we do now is we comb everything straight up, using the length from the back as a guide, and working to the front from short at the back to long in the front. Again, using point cutting. The idea is really that we have a beautiful connection to the back of the head and an overlap of length for the fringe, okay? Everything looks afterwards really, really seamless and beautifully connected, but this slightly undercut in the fringe gives us this beautifully head-hugging and narrow kind of shape in the front curvature of the head. Okay, now we're progressing through with parallel sections and over direct everything into the center. Make sure that the head of your model is upright. Okay guys, now the overall shape is blow dried, and as you can see we have this head-hugging shape at the back, the connection in the center, and the more it progresses, the shape progresses through to the sides, it becomes this beautiful overhang of texture. What we now do with our personalizing is we work with a little bit of parallel point cutting exactly in this weight line. Working with parallel point cutting, completely parallel into the section. I don't like to change the shape in a way, I just like to change the texture. And as you can see, with this point cutting at the back, this overhang of of hair will blend a little bit more beautiful. So we have this beautiful flow from connected to disconnected to a stronger weight line in the front. A little bit more. Work very, very visually. I think personalizing and detailing the shape is exactly what we do now. It's not to rework the overall shape. It's about, having a look, decide what you like or what you don't like. Think about what should you do to make the result at the end of the day perfect. Make a few cuts, look again, and progress through, and it's perfect. As you can see in the front, we have our undercutting technique, and our longer bits, they're falling over. It's still a little bit too heavy for me, so I'm also working in this piece with parallel point cutting. Deep parallel point cutting, cutting deeply into the hair, using the length of the blade to reduce maximum weight, create texture and versatility. Very important is that we maintain this disconnection. Do not connect, still maintain this disconnection. But what we are going for, we release an extra weight. Remember, over-direct everything through to the center, so we're using the same elevation as before, because we don't like to change the shape, we only like to change the texture of the hair. Always take a look, don't fall into the robot mode, so always take a look. Doing exactly the same thing on the other side. Again, over-directing it to the center and work deeply into the hair with parallel point cutting. Really make sure that you hold your blades parallel to the hair, not diagonal, really parallel. This just changes the weight, changes the texture, but maintains the shape. Okay, last section. Cut is finished, so as you can see the A-line fringe, the beautiful silhouette. What we now do is making a little bit of finishing, so we're using a texturizing pomade to create a little bit more separation into the top. I like to work with a contradiction of textures also from the finish, so I like to maintain this powdery, beautiful feel at the back, very dry texture, but in the front and on the top we work with a little bit more separation. So as you can see, we've finished everything off now. So as I said, we work with a little bit of texturizing product on the top to enhance this beautiful separation, and also this a little bit Mia Farrow kind of image, but with a modern twist. As you can see, we worked with this beautiful A-line fringe silhouette with a beautiful internal texture, and when I'm turning my model around, you also can see the contradiction of different textures and overall with a beautiful modern kind of silhouette. At the back we have this beautiful connection from the back to the top, so everything is looking really narrow in the back. It's really head hugging, and the shape progresses then through shorter around the crown area to longer to the front. Also the outline internally, progresses from connected to disconnected soft to a little bit more heavily, not graphic, but you can still feel a little bit more heaviness into the outline when it progresses through to the front. And then it blends again in this beautiful A-line kind of fringe. So I hope you like it, guys. It's a beautiful short variation with a modern twist. Thank you very much.